I can understand, like, when I'm at the gym, the gym has CNN on, has Fox News on, and you can see kind of the juxtaposition of what's being played on CNN versus what's being played on Fox. And Fox is a loop of immigrants are killing your kids, Joe Biden is selling your country, and transgender people are going to molest you in the bathroom. And like you hear that all day, every day on loop. And then on CNN, it is, like sunshine and lollipops, but also Donald Trump is destroying the world. Like,
Yeah.
it's just two very different
Yeah.
worlds.
You could tune in at any time and see the contrast. It's foolproof. But I actually like to watch Fox News sometimes in my free time just to see what they're saying, and it gets me.
It's good Oppo research. It is really good Oppo.
Yeah, and like, what are these people hearing? Because that's what's important. Like you can't come if you're just watching CNN all day. You get complacent because you're like, okay, like I agree with everything they're saying, and whatever it is. So I'm like, I want to watch Fox News. I want to watch OAN or whatever.
Yeah.
And that gets me more fired up to combat the bullshit that they're selling. And I have friends and family that watch Fox News, and I can always tell when people do because they'll bring up some talking point that I've like never heard of,
It's always like some random weird conspiracy, like cheese pizza means child predator or something.
Like, that's not true. Like one Google search will show you that's completely not true. So, yeah, it's good to just know that that's being floated out there. I'm like, thank you for bringing that to my attention because I come from that world. I know it's been a while now, but I voted for Trump in 2016 for those who don't know. And I used to be a subject to all that propaganda, like the talk radio.
Talk about how you came over, how you came to the blue side.
Yeah. Well, I think media has a huge part of it. So I was subjected to all that stuff. And when that's what you're hearing all day, and it's partly because my parents were listening to that, or my dad more specifically, you have a belief that, like, at the time it was, I think 2012 when I was 15. So I was like listening as a young, impressionable teenager. I'm listening to this stuff about how Barack Obama is like trying to destroy the country and he's a part of the Muslim Brotherhood. And like Michelle Obama is a man, like just ridiculous conspiracies. But if you believe those things, like, yeah, you're going to be freaked out, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh shoot, like I got to get involved. I got to do something because like this person's on. Yeah. So naturally I like wanted to get involved right away. And so I was like out campaigning for Republicans at age 15, knocking on doors, like making phone calls. But it's all like when I look back on it, it's like ridiculous that I ever believe that stuff. But like, it's only if that's what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm grateful I have the ability to like discern information.
How did you kind of figure out what was real and what wasn't? Like, was there like a moment that caused this pivot, or what led to it?
I think it genuinely had to do with the rise of Trump, because a big part of the reason why I identified with the Republican Party so much was based off of social issues, like, and these are just like tropes that people believe, which is that they're like the family values party, and that they are, aligned with evangelical Christianity, and they want, whatever it is, like freedom and
America.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, great. Like that all sounds great to me. But then as I got older, and then especially when Donald Trump entered the picture, I'm like looking at him, and yes, I did support him because I didn't know any better, and I believed that other people were trying to destroy the country.
Once in a while, when I close my eyes and I hear Donald Trump talk, the first couple of minutes of what he says, you're like, huh, that's not that bad. That's not that bad either. And then he gets to that third or fourth minute, and you're like, that's batshit crazy. It's like Tucker Carlson, same thing. It's why what's why they're so good at what they do.
They bring people in.
You find yourself listening to him, and they connect on this emotional level of, don't you feel like the game's rigged? Don't you feel like the system's against you? Yeah, nobody's listening to you. Well, yeah, everybody does.
Most people feel like that. Yeah,
that's how fortune tellers work.
Yeah. We have one representative for like 20,000 people or whatever, however big your district is. So of course people feel like that. But I think it was looking at him and being like, this man is the antithesis to everything that this party says that they believe in and stand for. And they have his back 100%.
Yeah.
Like, they are not wavering. And to me, I felt like that right there was proof enough that like the party didn't stand for what I actually thought it did. Because I'm like looking at people that I really looked up to, like Ted Cruz, for example, you know, and you're like, well, if you're supporting this guy, like, what does that say about you? You know, like, why was I believing what you were saying? Why was I buying your crap?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I did like more research and I got more politically active at the time. And when it comes down to it, it's like, look, the Democratic Party, they're the ones who are championing paid FMLA, you know, like family medical leave. So, or like trying to lower the cost of childcare. And those are family values.
Yeah, capping insulin costs.
Encourage people to have children and have a family and support families in a way that's tangible and not just saying, we support families, you know? So it was like a lot of that where I'm like, hold on a minute, like you're saying this, but it's not true. And this side is actually putting their money where their mouth is. And so it was a combination of all of that. But I think it still rings true today where they say things that just aren't true. Like they say we support IVF and then they vote against a bill to protect IVF, you know?
Katie Britt.
And so it just keeps happening. Yeah.
Katie Britt wrote the legislation and then tried to convince everybody that she's not anti-IVF. It's, for the life of me, it's where I get really frustrated with Democrats. We're afraid to talk about our faith. We're afraid to talk about like these issues that Republicans have monopolized, you know, the American flag, religion. Democrats are patriotic people, but you know, I was talking to my wife about this the other day. Like, we don't fly a flag in front of our house, not because we don't love the American flag and love America, but there's this connotation that I feel like has come with flying the flag, this like faux patriotism that's like, it almost has become a marker of like being a Republican that you have to fly the flag. And it's gotten really frustrating because like in the same tilt, I think Democrats would do better in southern states and do better in places like West Virginia if we got more comfortable talking about religion and our faith and our struggles with our faith. And, you know, we're more acceptable of people, you know.
We can't let them own those narratives. I'm a firm believer in that because it's not accurate. It's not true. And we've let them own them for too long. So yeah, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a patriot. I love this country. You know, you can love something and want to improve it at the same time. You know, those aren't mutually exclusive. So I'm a firm believer in that. And we actually have an American flag and a Biden sign in our front yard. And I'm like, that's what everybody needs to do because show your support, be proud of your support, but show that you're also a patriot and you love this country. And it's just changing the narrative, you know, one house at a time or whatever it is. But we really need to take it back because they've owned it for way too long.
What do you think Democrats who are running down ticket now are going to do? Do you think they'll run away from Biden? Do you think they'll embrace him? Like a lot of them are going to be in tough races. And with the margins now, we haven't seen a lot of polling, but I'm going to imagine it's not going to be positive post-debate. I know they're trying to spin it now and saying it is, but like it's hard for me to believe he's going to come out stronger post-debate.
Yeah, not right now. No, I think it's too fresh, but it's also the end of June and we have a lot of time and a lot of things can change, including court cases that may be starting soon, you know. So the narrative will change a million times before Election Day. So that's the upside, but I don't really see a positive for candidates to like move away from Biden for any reason, because if he chooses to do so, he's going to be our nominee.
Yeah.
And so if you're not turning people out for him, you're not turning people out for yourself at the end of the day. So I don't see the upside to that at all. So
my fear
I would hope that they do.
Yeah, I mean, my fear is that he'll be a drag on the ticket. That you could see like split tickets where people like vote Trump and then vote Democrat down ticket, or like weird excuse combination.
Do you see that happening though?
I don't know anymore. After 2016, I'm prepared for anything. I don't understand anything while also studying it 24/7, waking up in the middle of the night, terrified of what's going to happen down the road. Like this election is terrifying. The stakes are so high.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Like at this point things just defy logic. So whatever like conventional knowledge you have about polling and elections and how people sway, it's like we don't know what's going to happen. But I do feel like people that generally vote Democratic, even if you don't like Biden, you're probably not going to vote for Trump. You might leave it blank. I can see that.
Staying home is the
But
big one.
yeah, and that's really damaging too. So it's making sure people feel like it's worth their time to come out and vote. And that they also have a positive vision to look towards, because a lot of what Biden and the team has talked about is his accomplishments of the past 4 years, or complaining about things that have happened, such as the overturning of Roe v. Wade, right? And for people that don't follow politics or work in politics or are generally like
pay attention,
a little bit more ignorant, they don't understand. Like, so they're like, well, you're president, Democrats have control of the Senate. We had control of the House at one point. So yeah, like this happened under your watch. So what are you talking about? And what are you going to do to fix it? And so that's also what we need to be doing, to be like, look, this is what happened. This is why it happened. And this is how we're going to fix it. But we need you to come out and vote, because otherwise it's not going to happen.
Yeah, thanks Joe Manchin and Cinema for blocking everything and making it harder for women and children and everyone in the country.
Yeah. Like, how do you explain to someone who's not especially politically in tune that, like, there's this guy and there's this girl and they,
and they're like corrupt and took a lot of like
corrupt and they take money from the oil.
Yeah, there's no way to like message that stuff. As we close out, my one worry about what's happened in the last couple of days is it's exposed a fracture within the party. There's the people who want to have a conversation about whether or not Biden should step aside. And there's some crossover, I think, between the people who wanted to also have a conversation about what Biden should do in Israel and Palestine. In both conversations, the party has been like, no, we can't have these conversations right now. It's too risky. Everyone just shut up and get in line. I completely understand why why we aren't having those conversations, because they are risky conversations. They're really emotional. They're conversations that there's no easy solution to. But I think when you hear people say things like, put on your big boy pants or put on your diapers because you're panicking. I've heard a couple politicians say those kind of things. I've heard some people from the campaign make those kind of comments. And it seems really disrespectful to like your own voters. And I worry that there is this sense of inevitability that is dangerous for Democrats.
Yeah. No, I don't ever agree and like diminishing people's concerns in that way, where it's like degrading. Like, what do you have? Like, what are you even worrying about? What are you talking about? Because I think everyone has a right to feel anxious about this election, and they have rightful concerns. And I think it comes from a place of like, we don't want to lose. Yes. So, if we feel like we might lose, we need to change course. And so that's where people are coming from. But I'm also a firm believer of like, don't, Twitter fingers and just start, as soon as you have a thought, you're just sending it out into the ether, because I'm like, you might regret this 24 hours from now. And how are you helping the conversation? Because that's what our end goal is. We don't want to like keep repeating narratives that don't help us at the end of the day, or help Joe Biden win or other Democrats win. And so like, ask yourself, like, what is this going to accomplish? What is this one tweet going to accomplish? Probably nothing. And you're just going to end up, getting it shared in right-wing channels because they love what you're saying. So that's the frustrating part. But I mean, yeah, I think at the end of the day, like, there are conversations that people should be allowed to have. And I think with the Israel-Gaza situations, almost an unwinnable situation. Yeah. I mean, and Joe Biden has been in an impossible predicament where he's had to support Israel, who is our ally, while also not supporting the indiscriminate killing of women and children. Sure. And both sides, like the right will always say, well, look, he's anti-Israel, or he's, and then the left will be like, well, he's ignoring the genocide of all these millions of people. So there's really no winning, and he's walked a very fine line. So I commend him for that.
100%.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's tough. I wouldn't want to be commander in chief. That's for sure.
And at 81, like, man, I'd want to be on a beach somewhere chilling. Like, who wants to be trying to deal with Benjamin Netanyahu? at 81. Like, he's
Yeah,
stuck dealing with Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. Like,
right.
man.
And somehow trying to negotiate with them while also appeasing them, while also like whatever it is. There's so many different political dynamics in foreign policy that I just would never, never want to deal with. So yeah, it's tough.
So, Ally, does he still have your vote?
Of course, yes.
And why should America still vote for him?
Because first of all, he's had an incredibly successful presidency, and whatever things that you want to see accomplished are not going to get accomplished if he's not reelected. Like that's just plain and simple. And we're going to go backwards. There's a lot more. I mean, you've just seen with the appointment of 3 Supreme Court justices how much we've gone backwards. Even with the most recent rulings as well, homelessness, January 6th obstruction, whatnot. So those are going to keep coming. And if we give up right now, we have that defeatist mentality, like, well, we're going to lose, so we might as well not even try, then we will lose.
Yeah.
We will lose, and what good is that going to do us? Because that's 4 more years of regression. And I don't think we can handle that and we can take that. So it's up to us right now. The election hasn't happened yet. So ask yourself, like, what are you doing right now to help Democrats win this election and help make progress? Because you don't want to wake up in November and say, damn, I wish I did more.
No. Get off your ass and vote.
Yep, exactly.
Ally Sammarco, you were awesome. I would love to have you back like regularly so we can keep chopping it up and talk about how we can win this thing.
Definitely. This was fun.
This was fun. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.